The Twins fell behind early, again, versus the White Sox, and an 0-5 start seemed within their grasp until the sixth inning on a chilly night on the south side when the bats started to heat up, kind of, and the Twins found grass with a bunch of bloops that made up for all the 110-mile-an-hour lasers they'd been hitting right at somebody. The bullpen took it from there, and Harrison Bader provided the exclamation point. Now we're going to provide some semicolons and other punctuation, maybe some copy editing, just as soon as you get Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team, his team, every day. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe where applicable. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer since at least when everybody couldn't remember the last time the Twins won a game. I'm also a BBWAA member and a Hall of Fame voter. Across the Great Plains of cyberspace is Brandon Warren. Brandon was a Twins fan who became a Twins writer, and now he's both. Dreams do come true. On the podcast today, and on the podcast too, if we have time, the Twins will not go undefeated in Major League Baseball after roaring back for an 8-3 victory against the White Sox at Rate Field. A 5-run sixth inning, I have fifth written here, but that's wrong, was key thanks to borrowing some of the bloopers that the Cardinals used against them in the opening series. How kind. After Simeon Woods Richardson did okay for 4 innings, and for 3 too, but one additional, the Twins bullpen kept the Sox off the scoreboard the rest of the way. The most impressive relief was probably of Jorge Alcala, especially considering the liner he took off his shoulder, this one, in his previous performance. The Twins had entered Tuesday with not yet.
Sorry.
The Twins had entered action Tuesday with one of the league's worst offenses. I would say the worst. They were hitting 143. Yeah. They had the lowest OPS. The fewest runs scored. That's a good indicator.
Well,
those were leading causes of the Twins 0-4 start. But Brandon, they're not 0-4 anymore, are they?
No. And actually, you were talking about Alcala. It was the 4th inning of his career in which he struck out the side in order. So that was actually a very strong inning. And, you had raised questions about if he was okay and nobody had really asked. And that's kind of the funny thing about baseball reporting is a lot of these things you kind of suss out on your own, like based on things you see either on the field, in the clubhouse, etc. Like one time I saw Trevor May in the back of the Twins clubhouse, kind of by the food area. And I'm like, he's usually out here. What's going on there? And so I asked, because everybody said, oh, no big deal. But I asked a coach, and they're like, oh yeah, he's day-to-day. He's got a shoulder issue or whatever. Like you kind of have to pick up on those things. And with Alcala, Mesevich, Alcala, it didn't sound like anybody had kind of really followed up on that. And it's when a guy's removed from the game, it's very obvious that you are going to ask about it. But when a guy finishes, sometimes, an hour later you swell up, the adrenaline stops pumping, or even the next morning, you wake up a little sore, stiff, not feeling yourself. So to see him come out and do that was tremendous. Griffin Jack's interesting, but ultimately got the job done. And then Danny Coulomb was fine. Cole Sands good. Louis did what Louis does, gave up a homer, but you know what? Ultimately, I still really like this bullpen, and the offense did not have to crush the ball to score some runs, which, I guess if you're going to do the opposite, that's the way to commit to it.
Well, I remember, Louis, his performance was good in that, he did give up the home run, and there was some more action on the bases. But the inning that he pitched it could have gotten the game out of hand, and it didn't.
What you got there? What you got there?
Do you see it? That's my back scratcher.
Yeah, I was just saying, you're like kind of waving this thing on the screen, and I'm like, wait a second, we need some clarity here.
Remember Robert De Niro and the Untouchables when he's got the baseball bat at dinner?
A little bit.
Team, it's the team concept.
I was watching Alec Baldwin do an impersonation of him from 1997 before we jumped on here, and that is in no way me making it up. That is legit what I was watching.
I believe that. I've been watching Val Kilmer highlights. Rest in peace, Val. He did a good interview with David Letterman about working with Marlon Brando. But have we gotten off the subject? Maybe perhaps we usually do. But
relievers were very good. Simeon Woods Richardson was fine-ish. He battled, and that's really all you can ask. And boy, I tell you what, hard not to be impressed with Shane Smith.
Real good stuff. A Rule 5 draft pick that worked out with the White Sox.
It might end up being his best start of the year or like of the early season, because Rule 5 guys are so tricky. But from what we saw, there's a lot of reason to believe he's going to be very helpful to them this year.
The Twins might have helped out the next opponent a little bit because they finally kind of figured out what they were seeing. I mean, there's only so much you can do. The White Sox are a Cactus League team. They haven't seen him pitch before. I don't believe anybody on the roster has. And there's only so much you can do off film and scouting reports and that kind of thing. You kind of have to live it a little bit. And I think they started to wait him out a little bit in the 6th inning. There were some extra pitches that he had to throw, walks. Maybe he was getting a little hot under the collar, maybe a little tired just because, like you said in these games, sometimes the momentum disappears on a guy. And waited him out a little bit. And, the Twins batters, I think yesterday walked 6 times. That's good. White Sox batters walked once and struck out 13 times. So you kind of see how a game can build into not a rout, but a comfortable win for a very uncomfortable start.
I had actually pulled the data, and in the first, let's see, so they saw 4 pitches per plate appearance in the first inning, 3 per in the second, 3, 6, 7 in the third and fourth, 2 pitches per plate appearance in the fifth, 3 in the 6th when they broke through, and then in the 7th it was 5.25, 4.20 in the 8th, and 4.00 in the 9th. Now, from a single game, you're not going to get a huge, it's not going to tell you a ton, but as the game went on, they definitely started waiting it out, whether it was against Smith or Penn Murphy or Fraser Ellard. They definitely knew what they wanted to accomplish at the plate. And then Brandon Eisert comes in, and I'm like, that's what I say when I stare at the sun too much. Brandon Eisert.
That's the only reason you wanted to do a show today, so you could do that pun, isn't it? That's the reason. You've been thinking about that for 12 hours.
I'm just a man of Jordan leisure. That's all I am.
My favorite at bat in the comebacks in the comeback at bat inning was probably Ty France's, because he got behind 0-2 on Murphy, and he was he's waving one of these up there. He was
swinging like I saw a video someone had put together on Twitter today, and it was Javier Baez swinging at sliders that were like a foot outside, and the video was like 1 minute and 12 seconds long, and it was only, I think, his time with Detroit. He hasn't been with Detroit that long. He's been hurt. He hasn't played as much as you'd think. And it was still him swinging at pitches that he couldn't have touched with an oar. And that's exactly where Ty France was. And then Penn Murphy comes in with the slider. And it was a good slider, a good breaking ball. And he kind of flipped it into, left center? And then Jeffers nearly committed a very serious sin at second base. And he got lucky that they didn't throw in behind him with a little more speed or more accuracy, because that was a very bad base running play.
I wasn't sure. A perfect throw gets him. I don't know. Did the runner score by the time he would have been tagged out?
That was unclear. And what they said on TV was that Jeffers may have picked up Watkins waving that runner home. I think was it Larnach maybe? And he may have picked up the waving there instead of the waving to third, because you kind of have to be a dual-sided windmill at third base when you've got multiple runners on, which is why I can't even get you put one hand up for the runner coming around second and you wave with the other, and it's a whole big thing. But my point was that ball's in left center. Jeffers, yes,
you're going to look over there.
Yeah, you're going to rely on Tommy a little bit, and you may want to hit it hard to give the illusion that you're going. But I think the run would not have counted based on just kind of how it looked to me. And that was a play that I was like, oh man, that could have been way worse. We should also too, at some point, talk about the stealing home play, because I actually thought it was a good spot to use it. And I don't know where you stand on it.
I stand on the mound, and I just balked. But we'll. One more thing I wanted to add. I think of all the weakest of the hits was the biggest one in a way. It was Miranda's incredible 64-mile-an-hour bloop to right field. He hasn't really been robbed that much, but from a team standpoint, even in this game, they were hitting like literally 110 miles an hour right at a guy. Yeah. And that was like the most Cardinals bloop in Guardians luck hit I've ever seen, and it worked for the Twins.
I said that was a Guardians -ASS hit when he hit that in my brain. I'm thinking of Cy Louie, and I'm like, he's going to post some people are seeing our brand of baseball on the national, the national side for, this is what we do, and you may not like it. And I thought Cy Louie was going to do something like that. I don't know if he did because I didn't see it. But he had a pretty good troll game going last night besides, so he didn't need any more ammunition.
All right, speaking of not needing any more ammunition, I'm done for this segment, but we are going to take a break and have another segment, and we're going to talk about Twins baseball. Imagine that.
Well, big if true, but we are going to talk about wonderful pistachios, and that's what they are. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious. Crack into a good source of protein with wonderful pistachios. It's one of the highest protein nuts you'll find. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams, not gams. We're not talking about feet or legs. Hey, didn't you and I say we were going to start making gams come back?
We're going to make gams come back as a term for legs. Well, yeah.
Anyway, I must have had that as on my brain. But grams of protein will give you over 10% of your daily value, plus packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats. Keep you feeling fuller longer. I love the ones that are in the shell. It slows me down a little bit. As you may be able to tell, I struggle with putting snacks down a little too fast, and so those shells kind of slow me down. But if you want the ones with no shells that you just grab and go and give them a throw into your face, that is the way to go if that's the way you prefer. But either way, they have them. Complete, though, protein, all 9 essential amino acids, and you can take them with you wherever you go. Even the ones that are in the shells, if you like, I like to drive and chew sunflower seeds sometimes. You can do the same thing. You break them up, throw them in a bottle or a cup, and it's a tremendous snack no matter where you're at. You can take them with you, and I kind of like that crack, like the crack of the bat when you crack open a pistachio. Kind of sounds like this. Maybe not quite, but that is what you're looking for. So you can get snacking and get crackin' with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
So there was one play where I believe it was in the inning, right? Where after Julian had gotten an RBI and he was at third base and the Twins were trying to add on, and they did some kind of delayed-ish steal of home, and there might have been a balk, but I don't think there was. There might have been a blocking of home. There might have been lots of things. What was your opinion about that play?
Okay, so I'm trying to isolate it here because it was.
Let's go to the ISO cam.
Yeah, exactly. So Gasper hit for Julian in the 8th. I'm trying to really there we go. Okay, so it was Ellard on the mound pitching to Wallner, Eddie Julian on third, and the count was 1-2, slider, sinker, slider, and the slider, 84 miles per hour that he swung at, didn't look particularly good, right? Like, I mean, this is Wallner faced lefty Ellard. We saw later on, who else faced Ellard? Wallner faced him again because the plate appearance ended there. And then Larnach struck out looking on a kind of like a backup slider. It didn't look like it did what it was supposed to, but it froze him anyway. Yeah. Anyway, Julian breaks for home. Ellard does, I guess it kind of looks like he disengaged and then threw, but I guess it was so fast that I also kind of worry, especially if it was a right-handed hitter, like it wasn't a swingable pitch if it had been a pitch, unless you were Javier Baez, I guess. But the logic behind it kind of was like, oh man, you had this huge inning, you had runners on the corners, and this is how you ended it. You were up 5-3. It was before Bader homered to make the game, a little less close. But the logic was sound, and I'll tell you why. Left-handed pitchers have their back to the runner, right? So the runner can get a pretty good lead. You can't turn your shoulder or anything, and you look over your shoulder. But again, it's an added element.
The windup, though, right? So he would have maybe seen him out of the corner.
No, it should have been the windup because the runners were on the corners.
All right, go ahead.
Well, so runners on the corners. He's looking at Miranda at first, and because it was after that little flip shot into right field. So his back is to Julian. So Julian can get a bigger lead. Julian can break. Wallner, as a left-handed hitter, is going to see him coming and know not to swing. He's also going to struggle against left-handed pitching, which we've seen. I mean, those swings were ugly. And so the Twins were trying to steal a run, literally and figuratively, with the idea that, listen, if Julian is out, you refresh the count with Wallner to start the next inning, maybe against a righty, maybe against a lefty. It's hard to say because bad teams manage their bullpens differently than everybody else does. Maybe the Twins wouldn't send Ellard back out there for the 6th inning or 7th inning, but that's what Will Venable did. But anyway, rookie pitcher or young pitcher, I don't know if he's a rookie, but he's young. So not experienced.
Up a little bit last year. Yeah, doesn't have a lot of experience.
So he's a young pitcher. His back is to the runner. The runner can break, get a little bit of a bigger lead. You might get a balk because of the inexperienced pitcher. Your hitter, as a left-handed hitter, not only sees the runner coming, but also then will know not to swing from a danger standpoint. And yeah, if Wallner was going to strike out or make it out anyway in that situation, and it kind of felt like he might. He was not looking very good up there. He was down 1-2 on a really ugly swing and a called first strike. All those things combined, to me, validate the risk to try steal that run.
I like the idea from that standpoint of, it doesn't seem like that's a really good advantage situation for the Twins. I would, though, I love the idea. I actually do like the idea of the Twins giving Wallner opportunities against left-handed pitching. And I just kind of wish they would leave him alone a little bit. There have been a couple of times when he's been up where something's happened and it hasn't been like a traditional full at bat from the beginning to the end. Some kind of weird plays happened. And I just kind of wish that they would stick with this a little bit, because I think he, in the past, as recently as 2023, showed an ability in the minor leagues to sometimes crush left-handed pitching. Now that's just lefties in AAA and AA, but I'm talking about like 600 slugging percentages. Now I don't know, not having been a professional hitter, maybe it's one of those things where maybe it's too hard to do at a major league level. Like he's able to do it in the minors because they're minor league players. Maybe that's it. But at the same time, I like the idea of, we talk about other left-handed batters. Why don't you give them a chance against lefties? Because they have an incredibly long record as professionals of not being able to hit them. Not necessarily true with Wallner. Now, last year he didn't hit them in the majors or the minors, but he was also dealing with that slump early in the season and having to get out of it. Something has like unclicked in his brain since then about lefties. He might not even know what it is. Mm-hmm. But I think that's Borgschulte is going to have. I think that is there's some gold to mine there with Wallner.
That's his white whale.
Yeah, it is. But he can do it. I'm pretty certain he can. Now, they do have Bader, and Bader looks like he could play right field pretty well.
And then Larnach faced the Ellard, and they didn't pinch hit Bader, which I didn't understand either, because they put Bader in the next inning, and then Bader hits the 3-run homer off a righty to give them the lead. And to further your point, Wallner, when his count is refreshed the next inning against Ellard again, walks on 6 pitches. Now, to be fair, it was ball, strike, ball. So he was 2-0, 2-2, walks, did not swing at any of those pitches. So that's a giving a refreshed look. You get the effect of like when a player has a runner thrown out and then they end up coming up the next inning and they hit a homer. Everybody says, oh, that might've been a 2-run homer. You got to kind of refresh your expectations based on situations. And that's why I can't just be like, well, Wallner did walk and that would have loaded the bases for Carlos Correa. And with 2 outs, Correa couldn't possibly ground into another double play. But you know what I mean? Like there is a bit of like the what's behind door 1, what's behind door 2. But I do want to ask you this. Okay, so if you were not as sure about stealing home, what about a double steal or something to draw a throw?
Yes.
Because the thing is, so your runner on first is Miranda. It's maybe not as believable. I don't really know Julian's speed off the top of my head. I would guess he's probably
just really slow.
He's not even average.
No.
I mean, then I would definitely not do the double steal, I guess. I was thinking double steal, but then Ellard's looking right at him, at Miranda. And I think that the steal of home and what's behind you and what you can't see 100% to potentially balk. And I mean, they were saying they thought what he did was more of a balk than what Pablo did in St. Louis. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it was a balk because I watched his back foot and he disengaged fast. Which credit to him, and then he threw what looked like it almost looked like it was a slider out of the box that had to be kind of scooped by was it Corey Lee back there? Yeah. It was a crazy, like it was a really good play by the catcher. Above all, there's so much. The pitcher and the catcher did exactly what they needed to do, and the pitcher may not have executed the throw the way he wanted, but great job by the catcher. Credit where due to make that play.
Ellard has a little bit of a funky delivery that is there's a movement and then he stops and then he pitches again. It's almost like part of his come set thing. And I just wonder if maybe there's a balk in there too. That's what Rocco saw. There was a funny argument by Rocco because he went out there and he was like, "No, he did it," and then he just turned around. No, he didn't. So
he seemed heated for about a tenth of a second.
Right. So maybe there was a reckoning there with Rocco that, maybe I screwed that one up. But speaking of reckonings, I reckon that we need to do one more break and then we will have done our breaks.
Well, if you're like the rest of us and you ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? That was me this morning, actually. I had to get that fixed. But between dining out, it's okay. Online shopping and entertainment. It's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money, one of our newest sponsors, comes in. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. It's not just a budgeting app. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center where you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you stop managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using it, I was surprised how much I was spending on, the big ones are electricity in our house, as you can see all kinds of stuff on, but snacks, gas for the cars, like you get a good feel for what you're spending and what you can adjust and that sort of thing. And it's all in one place. It's the one-stop shop for all your financial things. And honestly, if you want to share it with a significant other, you can both have access to it to figure out what things are going on financially. It's good for a marriage. It's good for communication. It's good for your finances. It's Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com, and you'll get 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. And before we wrap things up, we do have to give some love to Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. Supply House, whether you are in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast and even to the Midwest. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5. That is Sam Horn 5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com.
I want to talk a little bit about how Carlos Correa is playing. He is hitting too many balls on the ground, but he has been stinging the ball. He hit a couple decent line drives in the past couple days, but hasn't had a whole lot to show for it. He did make a terrific, amazing play, getting horizontal on a line drive.
Game changer.
A game changer because I believe there were two guys on. Jax was pitching. We mentioned that Jax wasn't shut down like he gave up that home run to Arenado and
Miguel Vargas.
Miguel Vargas, who's the most enigmatic prospect ever.
Benintendi had the squibber to third where nobody was, and then Vaughn had singled. So there were runners on first and second and one out, and then John Lennon Sosa struck out after.
Right. But if that ball gets through, talk about the butterfly effect. Certainly there's a lot more pressure and a lot more stress to finish that inning off.
Vaughn definitely scores. Benintendi from first. You got Buxton in center, and they did not have Kiersey in there yet, I don't think. So, I mean, it would have been Benintendi would have taken third most certainly, and I don't think he would have scored, but you would have had the tying run on third base.
With one out, I believe, right? If he doesn't catch
it, then it's one out. Yeah, that's a good point.
So we got a little rally going, but Ryan Jeffers, sort of in the vein of the criticism of Correa so far, this is what he said to Dan Hayes of The Athletic. I thought he should have probably shuffled over and gotten in front of it and made the play on his feet. He's joking, by the way. But he's older. He's starting to slow down a little bit out there, so he's trying to make it look a little harder than it is. I'm not going to give another quote because I want that to be my quote. Everyone knows it was amazing. So he did.
And it was April Fool's Day. I mean, talk about brand recognition. Just incredible. You know what was nice to see? The smile on his face after making the play.
For sure.
I mean,
the game is, as Wash would say, incredibly hard. And it was incredibly hard to be a Twin for the first 4.5 games or so of the season. And it's a nice release valve. And it's, Correa is one of many players in the league who doesn't have a hit yet. And some of them are names like him. So I think when you look at, when you see things like, well, what happens to Matt Wallner's on-base percentage when he draws a bunch of walks? There's a big swing in it. It goes from not so good to, wow, what a on-base percentage for Matt Wallner. And that's like for one game. So that's just where we are in the season, Brandon.
389 right now, by the way.
It's very easy for the stats to swing from one way or another. So I think we should probably also do that with Carlos Correa, that, he doesn't have any hits yet, but there's no need to be a concern troll about Carlos Correa at this point because he's hitting the ball hard like other people are on the team. He's not the only star in the league that doesn't have any hits yet. And I think we just need to be patient and think about all the baseball we've watched in our life and not jump to conclusions about players just because we feel like it and it's a whim and Twitter demands we give some sort of opinion.
Can I ask you a question?
Was that a subtweet?
Yeah, it was, and I know exactly what, and I agree. What does it say underneath your name on the screen?
It says 1-5.
Did you get the script? Did you get the script?
You're going to lose today.
I guess. Yeah.
See, it's your fault.
Yeah.
It's your fault because you said yours says you enjoy a very well-made Brussels sprout. And mine says 1-5. It's supposed to say 1-4. Hang on. Can I edit this? Will it change?
You can on the air, I suppose. But I just thought maybe you got the script or something. But 1-4, it's shocking how much better that feels than 0-4 or 0-5, as I put in the header over here. But win today, you go into facing Houston on Thursday at home. You feel a lot better. You got Pablo going today, so you got to like your chances better than you might if it was, Chris Paddock. So I don't know. I mean, again, it goes to show all the overreactions It's not like someone's keeping a big record of them, and next time the Twins do something good, you're going to say, no, you were out on this team when they were 0-4. But it's just not consistent with how baseball is played and consumed and understood. 4 games in a row, it stinks. And even Rocco said this in his post game yesterday. He's like, it's such a minute part of the season, 4 games, that you can't put that much like thought into it. But at the same time, too, nobody wants to lose 4 games in a row. So you just got to kind of balance those two. He's not saying it doesn't matter, but it doesn't mean they're going to go 59 and 103 either.
And I can't edit it during the show. So thanks for pointing out my mistake.
Nice trade.
So hopefully for the Twins, it won't be 1-5, but 2-4. That's what I meant to say. Or maybe I meant to say 1-4. I don't know.
What does it say?
But it says 1-5. When it says
I just changed it. I just changed it to mess with you.
How did you change it?
I got the power.
I tried to do the thing that you said, and I couldn't get.
I got the power.
On that note, can you change it for the first 30 minutes of the broadcast?
Sure, right? Just like this. All right, sorry.
And for being my editor, and thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen today. Check out the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast with hosts Dominic Martino and Matthew Ane. The fantasy season is in full swing. I know because I'm in last place. So be the most informed fan and set yourself up for a league win. Find Locked On Twins and Locked On Fantasy Baseball on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So, for my friend Brandon Warren, I am my own friend, Dave Brown. Wishing you all a very pleasant good evening. Saying we'll see ya, Alexei, Casilla, tomorrow night after the next Twins game or whatever.
Bye.